else present who is also recording this meeting, please raise your hand so others are aware. Well, welcome back, everybody. Hope everybody had a good summer. I just want to note three people, new people. At the other end of the table, we have Mr. Jason Heineck, who is the new high school principal. Mrs. Priestley, who is the new elementary school principal, and Mr. Mark Bonucci, who is the new director of student services. So welcome to all three of you.
Thank you.
So we're going to start off with recognition. Those of you who have kids at the elementary school are familiar with the, and I can't think of the whole name of it, but the 21st Century After School Program, the one Marty's program. And Marty Toomey is here with us tonight to talk a little bit about a really, what I think actually, and which I think everyone will think is a really awesome program the kids did last year. Yeah. You want to come on up, Marty, to microphone? So this one up here, and they can adjust it for you.
Okay, thanks. I can give you guys one up here if you want to look at it. Thank you for,
It does, yeah, it's on. It's
Okay.
for the TV.
okay.
Actually, can I
Thank you
just-
guys so much for inviting me here tonight to be able to talk about this book. This book was done in collaboration with the East Quabbin Land Trust, and we work a lot with them. We have our summer program at Wendemith Meadow every year, and they are just amazing. And so Cynthia Henshaw, who's the head of the Land Trust, had asked me if, because we're into, she knows we like to do community service learning projects, and so she had asked if we wanted to collaborate with them on this book, which I thought was fantastic. So the kids came up with the whole idea of the title. They sat down, they talked with Cynthia, they came up with the idea of the title, and the title is The Treasures of Wendemith. And the idea was that this was going to be a book that had to do with all of the people who were involved with Wendemith Meadow and at times helped us, but that they could share their stories about Wendemith. So what we did was we invited them in, and they came in and we did interviews, and different children were involved with different interviews. So two people had each person to interview, and then they collaborated, wrote it. We kind of gave them a little bit of a structure as to how to write it because we wanted to follow a certain structure. And they did, I thought, a fantastic job on this book. I'm like so proud. And the kids are so proud because many of them were in the summer program also. And so they got to already see this book and the pride on their faces to see that they actually created this. This was tremendous. And we were really lucky because the Mass Cultural Council was able to go ahead and fund it so that it could get published. Because that was my big thing. We always like writing in after school, but when it comes to doing like a book, the problem was how would you ever get it published? And so that kind of always put a little bit of a damper on that idea for us. So when she came up with the idea of being able to publish it with the Mass Council money, I thought that was tremendous. And our summer program there, all summer, is also amazing. We go there, the kids are there, we're hiking every day, we're learning about different things with the meadow. This year we had a really strong focus on birds, and so the kids learned how bird wings worked and their beaks and feathers, and it was just such a joyous thing. All right, so to be a part of that, for me, is really tremendous, as well as the after-school program. Do you have any questions about the book?
So is it available in other places, or?
We can get the book from the Land Trust. So the book was written for them so that they would have a fundraiser.
Oh, okay.
So we do that, and we do note cards. And so we had done, actually I meant to bring some note cards and I forgot them. I'll try to get them to you guys. But we do note cards also. And that was the idea of the kids. And we've been doing that every year since we started. the program at the Meadow, and their idea behind the note card, because on the back of the note card it explains who E-Team is and what the purpose of the card is, and it talks about Wendemouth Meadow. And so the idea was to get the word out about Wendemouth. This was started a few years back, and before people knew about Wendemouth. Now I think a lot more people know. There's always people there, which is amazing. But the kids felt that if they did note cards and they took pictures, so they take pictures, we take pictures all summer, and then they pick from those pictures as to which ones they want on the note cards. And then the note cards are blank inside. But they said this way here, the people who get the note cards who are buying them, they will have the information on Wendemouth. But then, as importantly, the people who they're sending them to will also have that information. So they felt like that's the best way to really get the word out about the Meadow, and I have to agree because I love the note cards and I use them quite often.
So the East Quabbin Land Trust sells the note cards and the books.
Yes.
Where do they have them on a website? Do they sell them?
Yeah, I think if you contact Cynthia.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cynthia Henshaw is.
Yes, and I don't have her number.
Okay. Well, I can look it up.
Okay.
But I think, I have like a little special connection with Wendemouth Meadow?
Yes.
Just because I work at Quabbin Reservoir, and if you know the history of the Wendemouth family, they had to leave Prescott.
Yes.
Which Prescott was one of the towns that was taken when they built the reservoir. And it's interesting to me because there actually is a little bit of a connection between the Brookfields and those towns. And I was doing a tour last spring, and this couple came on my tour, and we were talking about where we were from, and I said I was North Brookfield, and they actually, the man was a Wendemouth descendant, and they worked with the kids in the afternoon program. So it was really my two worlds colliding there. So
wasn't that amazing?
Yeah.
And I thought that that's what you were going to say, and that is amazing too. And for the kids to learn about that connection between the Quabbin and actually hear about a family that was displaced and came here. That was really good.
Yeah.
You know, there were a lot of things that came out of it. The whole idea of the water that they had and that they bottled, and it was pretty great when we got to see the water bottles and stuff like that. So there were a lot of things that happened that really opened the eyes of the children. The whole idea of the Indians that were here first, and that the Indians actually did controlled burning of the land. I mean, that was another thing that we would never think of. You know, so it was a great learning experience for them, I think. Yeah.
So Marty, I just think this speaks so much to what I hear all the time in classrooms is writing for a purpose and writing to an audience and publishing their work. This is like to that next level where there's it's not a teacher making a book in a classroom, which is a wonderful thing to do. It's actually a published book, printed professionally, and you know, when you talk about the pride kids have in that type of result, it's just, I know exactly what you're talking about, and it's always awesome to see from a teacher perspective.
It was amazing. Yeah, we absolutely loved it, and I really appreciated the opportunity to do it. I did want to fill you guys into a little bit on some changes that are going to go on in the after-school program. Just so you'll know, I had to. I've been the director of the youth center for many, many years, and now I had to resign because of my physical limitations at the moment. So Danielle is going to actually take over. Danielle Holt, who works with me and has worked with me for many years, she's going to take over as the interim director of the youth center. The other decision that we had to make, though, was to not apply for the actual 21st Century Grant. And the reason for that, which was a good one, Carol, who's the head of the 21st Century Grant for DESE, she actually called me, and she was the one that recommended it. And right now, where we are, because we've had the 21st Century Grant for so long, we're a demonstration site, which means that as the director, I'm a mentor to many other sites. I do trainings all over Massachusetts. So there's a lot that's involved in being a demonstration site. And we get $50,000 a year. Carol's thought was that if we could apply for an ASOS grant, which we have done, all right, so that's already in there, that will give us enough money to run an abridged after-school program here. And because we will have run an abridged after-school program, and Carol I think really does like us a lot. In the spring, when the new grant comes out, then we'd be able to apply for a whole new site, which would mean like $145,000 as opposed to the $50,000. So we're going to have 1 year of an abridged program, but then hopefully after that, we'll be able to have 3 years at least of a program that we'll be able to run and maybe, you know, have the money to hire teachers, have the money to actually buy supplies, things like that. Those things will be tremendous, you know. And we can decide what site we want to apply for. So right now we do grades 3 through 6. Maybe we want different grades in that grant. And you guys, you can really look at that and decide what grades do we really think are going to benefit the most, keeping in mind that our target kids are those high needs kids, you know, our SPED kids, our kids who are economically disadvantaged, anybody who's high need. That's our target population. So who are we going to want, where are we going to want to apply for a grant? Do you want to apply for one grant? Do you want two? We used to have a grant at the high school. I don't know how you feel about an after-school program there. But then that will give you more options also. So as much as I am going to miss being here, yes.
So will the after-school program look any different this year?
It will look a bit different. What's going to happen is it did run Monday through Thursday. What we're going to do is it'll be running Tuesday through Thursday. So just losing one day. And it'll be after school until 5 o'clock instead of 5:30. So it's not a tremendous difference. I think it'll still be okay. I really do, and I think parents will understand. There's not much we can do. We have a very limited amount of funding. So it will be a little bit different, but a lot of the programming can stay. It will still be very good quality programming because the programming that we've talked about still is going to be a lot with social emotional learning. You know what I mean? It's going to be a lot it's still going to be brain-based, movement-oriented.
So if we get inquiries, the programming will be very similar, if not the same as last year?
Yes, it'll be very similar, tell them, 3 days instead of 4, and it'll be till 5 instead of 5:30. So it'll be a little bit different, but really, I think that they did a great job really trying to come up with really minimizing the change and minimizing the loss of the 21st Century Grant by doing it this way. So I think it's going to be good.
And just to point out for people like myself who might use that as an after-school program, the school itself does have an after-school program, and I know
Yes.
that in my case, my kids have done both.
Yes.
The 21st Century and the program that the school runs for, I think it's like
AM,
6
Our AM, PM program.
AM, PM program, which the afternoon I think is $6.50 an hour. So I
And
think.
it goes till 5.
And it goes to 5. So, yeah. And so then hopefully in
Yeah.
2021 there,
Then we'll hopefully be
Be
able
back.
to have
Right.
an entirely new grant
Right.
going on. I'm really excited about that idea, I gotta be honest, you
Yeah.
know?
Marty, will you still be down in the same room?
Yes, down in the same room, yep, yes, that's okay, right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Hi Marty, I'm Jason.
Yes.
We just met. This book is amazing, and I
Thank
think
you.
it just inspires me to want to do more to kind of be involved with you and help out in any way we can, especially at the high school level. You said you might have an after-school program for the high school level, but I'm just thinking now that I may have some students who are interested in education that want to kind of be and learn about how you run an organization like this and could help you with students over here as part of their after-school learning or some kind of volunteering hours. So I'd love to talk with you more
Well,
about
Jason,
that.
it's great that you thought of that, and we do have a teen leader program.
Awesome.
And we've had kids, we had 12 teens come over and worked every day this summer in the summer program.
And they do it during the school year, too.
Crazy, yep,
You
they
had
do it all
some of our
school
middle
year.
schoolers.
So
Yep.
we need to sit down and talk.
Yeah.
That would be great.
Awesome.
Yes, and I'll make sure that I introduce Danielle to you too.
Thank you very
Because
much.
I know she'd be really interested. We loved our program over there, so that is something working with teens is something near and dear to our
That's why
heart.
we're all sitting here.
Yeah. So thank you.
so my kids have participated in it for a couple of years in the after-school program, and they know Marty and Danielle very well. And just to let you know, Danielle is a huge Harry Potter fan,
Oh, yes.
and even though she is a Slytherin, she has
Yeah.
a very good heart.
Her and my wife would get along very well.
All right, there you go.
Yes,
Harry Potter.
There you go.
yes, she is a Slytherin.
Oh, that's funny.
Okay. Thank you guys very much again. Thank you for having me
Marty,
here.
thank you
So
for
Marty-
We
everything.
appreciate it.
I think based on when you talked earlier, and you said, for any number of years, and, the parents up here and the folks out there, and I'm sure there are folks who are either watching this or will watch it, who will all shake their head yes, that you went through their, their kids went through your program and they had connections
Yeah.
with you. On behalf of all of them, and I feel very comfortable speaking for them, and for all of us and our teachers, thank you for all the work you've done.
Thank you.
For the kids in the community of North Brookfield. It's
Totally enjoyed it. I can't imagine
I've only been here
not
3
doing
years
it.
now, and your impact is tremendous. So, and I appreciate the time and energy that you
Thank
spent with
you.
me to help get me sort of inducted and knowing a little bit about what I need to do.
Thank you so
So-
much. I really appreciate it. I am going to be very sad. This is such a tough move for me to not be doing this.
So with that, it's not a lot right now, but I did want to present you with a certificate of appreciation.
Oh, thank
And
you.
it's basically given in recognition of your dedicated service to the youth of North Brookfield.
Yeah.
Issued August 19, 2019. Thank you for
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Marty.
Thanks, Marty.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. So next up we have Cam, and I forget your last name, Cam. Lariah. Come on up, tell us what's going on.
So, Cam, this is your first official meeting. Oh, you had one last year, right?
I believe I went to one where me and Christina were here. Another one, huh?
Yes.
And then another one where I was alone.
Yeah, so you're a veteran now.
I guess so. The first thing I want to say is I'd like to meet a Slytherin who's good with kids. I feel like
you gotta meet Danielle, she's
I
on.
have to meet her.
It's the choices you make, it's not the house you're in, right?
I guess so. I just want to put out there that I'm a Hufflepuff, so you can laugh
Awesome.
at me all you want.
Me
but
too, me
Okay,
too.
that's good.
Yep.
All right. So we haven't done a lot this summer. Like we've come together and started basically like making a lot of plans and stuff like that. We have plans to be giving, I believe, the 7th grade, if that's okay with the new principal, Mr. Heineck, giving the 7th graders tours of the school during the 1 hour that you're having your middle school welcome night. So that's one of our plans upcoming. And I think soon we're going to try to get into the school and make some signs for the middle schoolers like we always have for lockers and
The
stuff.
welcome
like that.
back stuff.
Yeah, like that.
Yeah.
We've always done that. We always try to improve on that every year. So we're going to get in there and start doing that soon. But
Is
other,
there any chance you might do the chalk drawings in front of the elementary school you've done the last couple of years?
I can bring that up with
Okay.
them. Yeah,
Just just some drawings,
I can
flowers.
bring that up with them.
Buns. Great, thanks.
But yeah, so at our last student council meeting last year, we kind of assigned to people who would be doing what for some of our first big events of this fall. So there's already people who are going to be heading, homecoming and stuff like that, the breast cancer walk, which I'll be one of the people heading that. And we've started to put some early thoughts into that, and that's basically kind of it. We're planning on welcoming the 7th graders, making sure that they feel welcome in our school, and we're excited to figure out the school year because new principal, you've changed a lot, so we want to work with him to make sure that student council and like the students themselves adjust well and have a good fun year. That's really
Wonderful.
it so far.
What have you been doing this summer?
I joined the Navy. So-
Congratulations.
So, wow, that's just a little bit of news there.
Yeah, well,
A little bit.
that's what I did this summer. I could have went to college, and I think I probably will after. But the idea of having that much debt wasn't really something I was interested in. So I decided to join the Navy. I learned how to be an air traffic controller. That could be a potential career, or go to college after.
Wonderful.
Doesn't mean I'm gonna give up. I think wherever I am ranked in our class, I'm not gonna give that up. I'm still gonna work hard this year, take the AP classes.
Good.
Other than that, I started going to the gym instead of just running. That's it. That's what I've done this summer.
Are you working?
Oh, I work at Price Chopper, yeah. So
Good for you.
I've been doing a lot of that. It's not the funnest thing, but it pays for the car.
Senior year, right?
Senior year, I'm excited.
Well, some of you guys went to camp too, right? Didn't you guys go to
A student council
student
camp.
council camp?
I didn't go to the camp, but based on what a lot of the people were telling us about their experiences at the camp, it was one of the best experiences of their life so far. And I thought that was pretty amazing because I was like, I thought it was just Stuco camp, but they're like, that was amazing. They basically told me, which I've been to the Hyannis conference.
Yeah.
They told me that Stuco camp is basically like an amped up version of that, a longer version of that. And I feel like that would be really cool because I enjoyed the Hyannis conference a lot.
Yeah,
But yeah.
that's great.
Well, Cam, I want to say first off, congratulations on joining the Navy. That is awesome. And I think one of the things that I want to kind of reiterate to you is things that you just said is I want every student to kind of strive to feel the way you feel about the choices that they're making in life, to be proud about it, to kind of learn from things that they've heard in the past or done in the past, and really explore what's going to make you unique in this world, and make sure you put yourself in a position to be really competitive in this world and get whatever you want out of it. So there are some changes, which I'll talk about later, but nothing's going to change the fact that this is going to be the best senior year you've ever had, and I want to assure you of
ever
that,
had.
because I absolutely love working with students and just making you feel that you are the absolute best you that you can be. So that's what my promise kind of is to the school and to the students, is that I want your senior year to be the absolute best. I've been lucky enough to be in the presence of Mr. President Nick of Student Council.
You're going to see a lot of him this
I
year.
did. I've already seen a lot of him this year. We have a little competition where he's going to see if he can score on me in soccer. I told him if he can kick the ball by me, I'll be the goalie. Then I
He's
give
a
him
pretty
like a
good
little.
soccer player, you know.
That's all right. That's all right. And I know I'm getting old, so maybe I'm over talking my abilities now, but I think I can hang still. So
If you
that's
wanna,
it.
if you wanna get warmed up, you're welcome to join us at cross country practice.
There you go. There you go.
All right, very
This is
good.
not-
Good luck this season.
Not a big runner, but I'm definitely I used to be a big weightlifter, so I would love to kind of get back in that and have some clubs or something after school doing that.
Yeah, cross country is gonna be good this year. I feel like.
That's awesome. I'll be right there cheering you guys on.
All right.
Thank you.
All right, thanks a lot, Cam.
Thanks,
Thank
Kim.
you.
We'll see
Have a
ya.
good night.
Cam.
Enjoy the last week of vacation.
I will. Gotta finish that summer reading.
Good man. Sounds like my son going into a senior year. Gotta finish that summer reading.
So, well, anyway. Moving on, we have to approve the meetings of both the regular meeting, school committee regular meeting of June 14th, and also the school committee special meeting of June 17th, 2019.
They're actually reversed, sorry. The 14th was the special and
Oh, okay,
Just to
sorry. So the
verify.
June 14th was the special
yeah, it's wrong on the agenda,
school
sorry.
committee meeting, and June 17th was the regular school committee meeting. Does anyone have any comments or edits or anything like that? Okay, so I need a motion so we can approve.
I made a motion to approve the school committee meetings of June 14th and 17th minutes.
I second.
All in favor? Okay. So, and we have correspondence from the Department of Education.
Yeah, so this year we're in our, we're on the list. And it's not a great thing, but it's not a bad thing either, it just is. Every 6 years, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education essentially does a monitored review of a couple of different areas: special education, English language learner, and then the title grants, to ensure compliance with the variety of federal laws and regulations that govern those different areas. So we have some work to do up front, submit a packet of stuff to DESE, various things that we do. They review it, they'll come here, they'll visit with us, and then they'll give us feedback on our processes and procedures around this stuff. So it's a pain in the neck, but certainly something that is required. And secondly, I've seen a lot of decent things come out of it, you know, things that need to be updated that maybe haven't been in a while. So it's a decent process. They've actually changed it quite a bit over the last few years. When I first started, They were like, you do school for 3 full days, you had to like set up interviews with a variety of stakeholders. Now it's much more of a review and quick feedback so that the changes can be made rather than this long, drawn-out process. It will kind of be the year of collecting stuff and sending it in, but sort of the reporting piece is a little bit easier, and then the feedback is essentially, you need to fix this, and they give us timelines to do those things. So that'll be happening during the year, and we'll, Mark and Jean will be spearheading those 2 things as they cover those 2 areas, the 3 areas we're being sort of audited on and reviewed. So keep you updated as we get more information on what's happening with it.
Okay, and then there's,
Second piece was just a letter from Vibram. They, if you remember, they were collecting shoes at the end of last year, and they collected 690 pairs of shoes. Their goal was to collect 100, and we had boxes, and we collected some number of shoes. They picked them up pretty regularly. The letter does say that we're eligible for a 50% off one full-priced item at Vibram.com. I don't know what that would be yet, but if we do need something, we got a little discount going. But
have
it was
you
very,
checked out what they sell?
I haven't yet.
Okay, all right,
No, I talked to Sheila, and she says, there's nothing there that you could buy.
okay, yep.
So, but it was nice to be part of it. I think it's a good community effort to support
Absolutely,
folks who are in need.
yes. And do we have any presentations?
We don't?
Any public want to participate? No? Oh, all right, so
Yeah, it's like,
moving on to the financial reports.
all right, so in your packet, you have 2 documents. One is essentially our local budget, and the other is the grant accounts, grant and revolving accounts. Much of what you'll see in the local budget has not been spent yet. You'll see a lot of 0% on the far right-hand column, which means 0% of that money has been spent. So, you know, much of what you'll see is very little funds have been expended. I don't have anything negative to report at this point in terms of overspending in one area or the other. You know, I think the 7th or 8th item down on the first page of the report, 86.74% of our advertising budget is spent. That is essentially for us to pay for the site license for School Spring, which is the job advertising program that education uses. So we have to pay that up front. But, you know, most of what you see there is at 0%.
What about the dues and membership? 101.23%?
So dues and memberships are often part of our contract. So like in my contract, I can be a member of MASS, the Superintendent's Association, and each of the administrators. So when we do the budget, we don't know what their rates are yet. So we might have budgeted 400, maybe the cost is $410 this year, so it went over by 1%. And that's just a balancing act for Sheila, where often in your warrants, you'll see transferring money. She wants to transfer $1 or $10 or whatever that over to make that right. So that's where that comes from, because when we do the budget, it's so early in the sort of year that many of these organizations haven't come out with their final prices yet.
Okay. And then the grants.
The grant and revolving is very similar, although these don't include any of the Title I, Title II, Title IV-A special ed grant allocations that came out in July. Jean has, I believe, submitted her grants and has gotten some positive feedback by email, and I think Mark is either about to or
Mine is almost done, I'm just
Yeah.
waiting for some numbers.
right, is about to submit his grant, so those will go in there. You saw the new lines in the parking lot.
Those are beautiful.
They came out really
Those are so
nice.
nice.
We added the yellow line in the
Mhm.
elementary circle.
The
That-
crosswalks.
Yeah,
Very
the
nice.
crosswalks. Those came out of the I think it was the facilities revolving accounts. So when you see expenses from something like that, the use of the school, it's not on this report, it'll be on the next one.
It doesn't come from the parking fees?
The parking fees resolve.
Yeah, we could use that to repair the parking lot or things like that, so those monies are there. Again, the majority of this hasn't changed too much in the last 2.5 months since our last meeting, or 2 months since our last meeting, because there just isn't a lot of activity over the summer.
So the rug, the NBPTO rug, I thought they sent a letter so that she could, whatever,
They
transfer.
did, we have to adjust that
Okay.
and close it out.
All right.
I tread lightly right now with Sheila in terms of getting ready for the start of the school
Yeah,
year.
yeah, yeah, no, I know.
If I tell her
I
close
just
this
wanted
out
to-
now, I might not,
Yep,
you know,
sure,
it's
sure,
like
sure.
putting your finger in the bowl where, you know, the piranha live. You might come out with no finger. She's a little busy right now.
I just,
Yeah.
I noted it, that's all.
Yeah, we'll do that.
What about the
Um,
library gift account? Any money get spent from that yet?
There's $1,400 in there, and we have spoken to Terry, so I don't think anything's, I don't recall a PO coming through yet, but.
Sir, if you were unaware, there's $1,400 in the library gift account.
Terry was asking about that.
Yeah,
I
so
said
she
I wasn't
knows.
sure, and
Yeah.
I was gonna look into that for, that's very good news.
So as we go on during the year, obviously, I'll keep you updated as those numbers change. You know, the typical ones to keep an eye on for you guys is the sub-accounts. Those are a guess. Sometimes our homeless transportation account is a guess. You never know when that might become a challenge. Did want to bring up, and I know Marty will cover it in his report, I think, the high school roof has been an ongoing source of headache over the years. We did get an estimate to evaluate it from actually the roof guy who was the consultant on this roof. And Marty will cover that more, but you know, we're really spending a lot of money year after year, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000, $8,000, $9,000 to try to patchwork it together. Whereas it might be worth it to look at, let's bring this guy in and get a real solution for the long term. Now, we might not like the solution, because the solution could be tear this roof off and put a whole new one on that section, and then you're talking big bucks. But at least we'll know. I just feel like last year we spent, I don't know, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 just to patch it, and then if the patch breaks down, because it's the way it's set up, the metal ties into an older style roof, and it's just, he looked and he was like, it's gonna leak. So, he has some ideas, we do have to pay him for those, that's his business, so, Marty will cover that, but that's something that, you know, those maintenance accounts that I would, you know, that we should keep an eye on, because a lot of money over the, you know, the years I've been here, just on repairing that roof, and it's not that many years, so. And it's not gonna get better as the building gets older, so. And it's not just the outside, it's the inside. When we repair the inside, then it leaks again, and that gets all messy again, so. And that's the financial report for now, is sort of brief, because there's not much to report on.
That's
right now.
okay. We'll go with brief. So next up is your report.
So in your packet, you have a list of the hiring. It's actually old, there's an updated one. We've hired a couple of other positions. I will tell you that we have not been able to find a library media specialist. We've interviewed many folks. We actually offered the position to someone. They chose to go in a different direction. We have an internal candidate who we are going to move forward with that position. Mr. Rigney has applied to be the library media specialist. He has entered a program through Salem State. Was it Salem State?
I believe so.
Salem State, a library media specialist program, communicated with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, and what Mr. Rigney indicated was that he was excited about a new opportunity. You do something for a long time, 24 years as an English teacher. He was looking for something a little different and was excited to go and do something a little bit different. And Mr. Hynek and I had a long conversation with him. I like a lot of the different things that he's talking about to move the library forward into a more sort of accessible, collaborative space. And then we'll be able to bring in an English language arts teacher, and they are far more common in terms of the availability, I guess, than library media specialists. So
Okay.
that's the big news. There are a couple other positions that we did hire, some instructional assistants, but in the interest of time, we'll.
How's the band?
Their interviews are ongoing for the music band piece.
Yep, so we have our finalist interviews on Wednesday at 1 and 2 and 3 p.m. So we have 2 finalists we've narrowed down, and then we will make a decision as soon as those 2 interviews are done.
Perfect.
And I'm just curious, so there is a stipend for the elementary school band, that was
Yep.
like 2 afternoons, 3 afternoons a week, that is gonna be included in the,
Yeah.
that'll be part of it? Okay,
Awesome.
all right.
So, you know, earlier we did the walk through the buildings are coming along and almost there. I know they're working on the outside now. There are a number of small things to do in terms of facilities. I know technology is an ongoing process of following the guys as they clean rooms because everything comes out, but then it all has to go back in. And, you know, updates and cleaning up the machines is ongoing. In terms of the opening, there are a couple of different events that are happening. First, on Wednesday and Thursday, we have our new teacher orientation, 2 full days of all our new teachers. Mrs. Powers and Mrs. Dubuque, who's the mentor coordinator this year. And if you recall, she was 2 years ago. Last year, Mrs. Priestley was, and now Mrs. Dubuque's back. And
She
they
did a
just
great
keep
job.
trading that back and forth, that
It's not
position.
bad, okay.
They'll be taking our brand new teachers through a 2-day in-service, sort of inducting them in, anywhere from getting them all their technology, sign-ins, all that stuff, to the mentor program, to just a little bit about North Brookfield and matching them up with their mentors to start developing relationships there, because that's an important support that our new teachers will have. If you remember, 2 years ago and into last year, we really adjusted the mentor program to be much more staff person friendly. A teacher with 10 years of experience needs a very different sort of mentoring experience than the person who comes right out of college and this is their first job after student teaching, who needs a very different experience than maybe a mid-year career professional switch, someone who worked in the financial industry who now is going to be a math teacher. So it's really we've individualized it so that people get what they need, and we extended it into year 2. So our teachers in year 2 will have a second year of mentoring as well, which is, again, a nice thing. Nationally, about 40% of teachers leave the profession in their first 3 years. It's like, that's crazy. So,
Yeah, I think you guys have done a lot of great improvements in the past couple of years, so.
So,
Glad to hear that's
bus
continuing.
lists, lunch lists, all that is posted on the website. We are updating the website as we go. We're trying to prioritize. Things like buses and lunches are important. Some of our staff that have left are still in there. We haven't deleted everyone. It's a process. So that'll all be happening as we go. And then next Monday and Tuesday, we have our teachers back and staff and faculty. We'll go through a 2-day in-service. And then Wednesday, the 28th, our little friends will be back, and I'm very excited that they're all coming back. It's been too empty and quiet here, so I'm ready for them to be back.
Can I make a suggestion about the website? Just
Sure.
because I think, looking at a lot of school websites, they don't get updated that frequently. And you guys do a great job keeping it updated. Just let people know that it's being updated.
Yep.
Send them an email or put it on Facebook. Lots of good information out there, so.
Will do. In your packet, there's a policy review recommendations. Over the past couple of years, we've really worked hard on updating the policy book. What I'm recommending this year is a little bit of an adjustment, because essentially, we have worked with MASC's model policies pretty closely. We've adjusted a few, but we haven't done a lot to those. I'm suggesting that in the September, October, November meeting, I think is what I put, or September, October, November meeting, we review the last three sections. Those are big sections, but I will prepare all the policies that are in your packet. They are quite extensive, but I'll put them all together, and the policy subcommittee can review them. And individualize the ones they want, because often we read through them and go, that's good, and move on. The ones we want to individualize, once we read it, we say, oh, let's add this, or let's change this. And usually they're fairly minor changes. Obviously, it takes 3 readings, so even if, there needs to be a change into the November meeting, we can still make that change. This just moves it along and gets all the policies updated by November.
So you would like to have 2 policy subcommittee meetings, one in early September, and then one, so to prepare all of these policies for 3 readings, September,
Yeah.
October, November.
Yes.
All right.
And I'll tell you why. One is.
Because you wanted, let's get it done. I understand that.
That's part
It's-
of it, but the other part is we're going through this, this review through the Department of
Oh, right.
Education.
Mhm.
And some
Yep,
of these are really
very old.
important that they're updated and not
Yep.
dated 1995.
Absolutely.
I don't want to get written up for
Absolutely.
things like that we can address quickly, especially since we are
So,
an MASC district.
so this would be then basically just one subcommittee meeting? Or you
We
wanna
could do one subcommittee meeting and then come back if there are any changes or suggestions from the full committee.
Okay.
We can leave that open-ended.
Sure, all right. I think we do have to nominate people for the
That's on the
subcommittee.
agenda later, yeah.
Right, I think at this point, it's Kristen and I.
Yep.
And how do you feel about that, Kristen? You think that's doable? I think it's actually probably more doable,
Yeah.
yeah, than what we thought it
I
was
mean, last year we did it over three different sort of,
Yep, no, if we, yeah,
3-month
get them all,
sections.
Yeah.
try and, because I mean, we also will have to go
Bang
back
them out.
and look at everything, starting all over.
and this has which policies should be removed or new
Right.
policies that should be added.
Right,
So,
okay,
all right.
everybody good with that?
And again, we have 3 meetings to sort of evaluate if
Yep, if things need to be
things
updated
need
more.
to be updated. In your packet is just the front cover of our FY 2018 audit. We just finished FY 2019 in June. This is conducted, I believe, in March, and then we get the report, this time of the year. And essentially, they go through all the different things, and there are a number of suggestions that they have. And most of those suggestions are about identifying where funds are spent from, and should they have been spent from there or not, not in maybe a different account. So the monies aren't wrong, it's just accounts. And what we need to do is then, generally, we take these and file an amendment with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, because our year-end report gets submitted to them, and they look at our expenditures. So all the requirements, I'll just give an example. The first one, expenditures reported on Schedule 1, something we have to fill out, from federal, state grants, and special funds aren't properly reported and do not include all accounts. And it will tell you what those changes should be. This money that $5,300 is here, but it should have been spent here, accounted out of here. And then our response is, we filed an amendment with the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education on March 29, 2019, to correct the above finding. And so there's a series of those kinds of things.
So this audit was done in end of June 2018, and then in the FY 2019 year, you corrected those things
Right,
already.
we work with the auditor and
Right, so
file an
this
amendment.
is all, well, their, not suggestions, recommendations have been already corrected.
Yes.
And that that information is freely available to anybody who has any questions. They can
Yep.
come
Oh,
into
yeah.
the
We keep
superintendent's
it on-
office.
On
Yep.
file at the superintendent's
Right.
office.
Does anyone have any other questions? Anybody want to look at it? Okay. All right. Moving on to the S.
Administrative.
Did you want to say something about the
Oh,
SWCEC?
SWEC, sorry, yes.
Which, can you tell us again what SWEC stands for?
So SWEC is the Southern Worcester County Education Collaborative. We are a member of that collaborative. There are, I don't know, 14, 15, 14 members, part of this multi-district group. And really the purpose behind collaboratives, the original design was to cost share for special education needs. So there's a Southern Worcester County is an organization, and they have classrooms and teachers and kids from these 14 communities that need special education services that might not fit into programs we have here. That's an option. And it's generally less expensive than outside placements, private placements. Now, we pay a membership to be part of that, and we pay a reduced tuition for those programs if our kids access it. So the chair, and we'll talk about this later in the meeting as well, but the chair is, the board is made up of the superintendents of those 14 communities, districts. The chair is Mary Ellen Brunel from Auburn, and she asked that I not only send this to the school committee, but also announce it at the school committee meeting. And so this is from the board chair and Auburn Superintendent Mary Ellen Brunel. Please be advised that Elizabeth Fitzmaurice, former executive director of the Southern Worcester County Education Collaborative, has resigned her position, and we wish her well. I'm pleased to share that Alan Himmelberger has been hired as the interim executive director effective July 24, 2019 through June 30th, 2020. Alan is the retired superintendent of the Blackstone Millville Regional Schools, and prior to that was the superintendent of the Oxford Public Schools. The board is confident in his ability to lead the collaborative this school year. Our intention being to post this position in the early winter of 2020 to find a permanent replacement to take the reins as of July 1st, 2020. So Mrs. Fitzmaurice has left the collaborative, and Mr. Himmelberger, who I know very well, wonderful man, very bright, has taken over. Obviously, being in Oxford, he knows the collaborative. He knows this area, Central Mass. So, great guy, does a great job, and she just wanted me to let folks know that information.
All right. So, administrator report, I have,
Mr. Hynek.
oh, it's on the back. There we go. Go ahead, Mr. Heinen.
All right.
Somewhere in there.
So first I wanted to say thank you for welcoming me to the North Brookfield family. This has been an amazing 6 weeks so far. It has been 6 weeks of me really listening to as many people as I possibly can to kind of hear what everyone kind of wants to see the school be and what they know it can be. And so I just wanted to say again, thank you guys for welcoming me into that family. So to kind of quickly go through some of the updates in the sheet that you guys have in front of you. So one of the changes that we're doing this year, I think is one of the more exciting changes, is we're going to be creating our middle school academy. So the middle school will be kind of a separate place now where our middle school students can be prepared as middle school students and not smaller high school students. And the curriculum and the teachers are really going to tailor them to become high school ready. That way when they make the transition over to high school, that each of them has the academic ability, but also the social ability for interacting and kind of growing with peers of a similar age group with them. We're going to have dedicated teachers teaching in the middle school, and it's really going to, in my opinion, kind of increase the ability of each of our middle school students and really show off what a middle school model can do. We're also going to be doing a middle school elective experience this year where we're going to be exposing the students in middle school to the electives that are capable of being taken when they get to high school, to kind of spark their interest and to kind of see what kind of track they might want to go on. If we can grow interest at a young age for a student to kind of be like, oh, what can I do at this field? How can I get into college? How can I make it kind of part of my life? That is something that really gets students kind of to direct their own learning and future success. We're going to also put into place a daily academic intervention or acceleration block. So middle school students who are struggling will have the ability to get some extra time to get some support, and also the students who don't need the support will be able to accelerate themselves, work on higher rigor items, different grade level items, things that they know that they will be able to kind of give themselves a leg up when they get to the high school level. We also at the high school level and even at the middle school level will be switching to a static non-rotating schedule. So one of the things that I heard from most of the teachers was that we wanted to make sure that we maximize our time with our students. And so when we have a non-rotating schedule, our teachers are going to be able to see our students every single day. There's not going to be a period that's 40 minutes, there's not going to be a period that's 80 minutes. Every single period during the day will be the same time and take place at the same time in the schedule. So in terms of where students are supposed to be, what class they should have, every single person will know exactly where everyone should be, so we can really, again, increase that time on learning for students and make sure that they leave our high school and middle school ready for the next chapter of their lives. So in addition to that, we are going to be offering all of the same classes that we offered last year, in addition to some new electives that we're going to be using through our Edgenuity program. We'll be able to offer AP classes, honors classes that we might not be able to offer at the school level online. We're also going to be able to offer dual enrollment classes, so a high school student will be able to potentially graduate with already 12 college credits in their possession by leaving their senior year at North Brookfield. And if you can think in terms of cost, that's almost a half a semester of college, and that cost will greatly be decreased for parents, and maybe, you know, saving some money can get them out of the house a little bit earlier into an apartment or something. So we want to make sure we can offer as much possible courses for our students so they can grow and kind of find that path that's going to excite them. And when they understand what they want to do when they get to college, we can make sure they already have some type of experience in that. So when they sit around their peers, they feel like they are just as well, if not more prepared for that experience once they get to the college level. So Rich gave some hiring updates. We have hired a brand new art teacher so far. She is going to do amazing things, splitting her between the elementary and the junior senior high school level. And then we've hired a new science teacher. Her name is Jennifer Fleming. The art teacher is Carolyn Ward. We've hired a new math teacher. His name is Kevin Sloan. We've hired a new special education teacher, Christine Scott. We talked about Mr. Rich Rigney moving to the library media specialist position, and we currently have a vacancy in music, and our ELA vacancy was just posted today on School Spring, so I actually can't wait to check in and see how many applicants we already have. And so there's some other updates here on the bottom. 821 is a dine out at 308 Lakeside for our DC trip. As we know, the 8th grade class this year is going to Washington, DC, and it's a trip that we would love to continue happening every single year, and then to start adding trips at the high school level as well. So if we can kind of get students interested in it, we can start fundraising at a freshman year for a trip that we want to take as seniors, and then it'll make our lives much easier and the parents' lives much easier when it comes to that. And then the students get that. You can kind of hear how Cam was talking about the Stuco conference, to have that kind of enthusiasm. Even though he didn't go and he heard about it, we want that to kind of be like how we can get students to want to school choice into North Brookfield as well. That is what I have. I don't know if you guys have any questions.
I think you might want to mention your welcome nights there, though.
Yep, so back to school welcome night. So we are going to do a middle school back to school welcome night this Friday the 23rd at 6 p.m. And then at that time, we're going to introduce the middle school families and any new, I'd hope to have all the new 7th grade students, but obviously all the 8th grade students are welcome as well. And we kind of want to let all the families know what's going to be taking place, what it's going to look like, what to expect their child to be doing, and hopefully get everybody kind of signed up for our new program we talked about earlier, Live School, which is like a class dojo, but much more in depth and in detail for parents to understand what's taking place in their students' classroom and communicate with their teachers on a daily basis if necessary. And then at 7 p.m., we're going to do the high school welcome night. So parents of all high school students are more than welcome to come down, hear what kind of the changes are that are taking place that I've kind of briefly touched on now, and just kind of hear how we want to make this experience for the students the absolute best possible one we can to make sure all students are ready. to go on to do whatever they want to do once they leave North Brookfield High School, and have that passion to make change in this world wherever they kind of land and see fit. So that's taking place this Friday, 6 o'clock middle school, 7 o'clock high school. There'll be small refreshments in the cafeteria, and I hope to see everybody there.
I just have a quick question. So, with the new schedule, how many periods a day and how long is each class?
So we
period?
have 7 periods a day now, and we have, each class is 49 minutes.
Okay.
So and every class will take place every day. So there won't be a drop one where a teacher might not see a student for a
Right.
day or two.
Mhm.
And so we're going to kind of make sure that that experience in that classroom is something consistent. So students will know what to expect. They'll know on this day at this time I walk into this classroom and I kind of understand exactly what I'm going to be doing, what the teacher is going to expect of me. And if the student is not where they're supposed to be, every single teacher will know where that student's supposed to be, because they don't have to worry about what day it is, what period they might have, where they should be in their schedule. So in terms of ensuring that we're keeping our students exactly where we want them to be learning, and for the teachers, having the new schedule means less periods for them to prepare for. And when I say that, is less classes. So when I sat here and I listened to most of the teachers talk, and when I've met with most of the teachers, one of the things they kept telling me is I have 5 different classes that I have to prepare for.
Different preps. Okay.
Yeah, and so as a teacher, how can you do anything really well and service our students really well if I'm spreading myself out that thin? And then what I want to do is, we've knocked that down to 3 to 4 for most teachers.
Okay.
So they have less preps now where they can focus more on individual student feedback, which we know is a key strategy to improve student performance. So really narrowing that down. So a lot of the teachers have been really excited about this change, because it's really going to help them stay focused. And I think one of the biggest parts about this change is that we are going to have common planning time now. So
Yeah.
at the middle school level, all 4 middle school dedicated teachers have the same period off every single
Yeah.
day, in addition to their prep, where now we can do 5 hours of professional development and training if we need to, common planning time a week to kind of improve student outcomes. At the high school level, this is happening with some staff, not all, but we're working on it. So our ELA high school staff has the same period off together, where we can do kind of common planning and professional learning time with
no,
them.
that's great.
So for me, prioritizing that kind of level of dedication to supporting the teachers to give them what they need is really what starts to increase and change student outcomes across the board, is supporting my teachers as best as I possibly can.
That's great. I just have one other question. Are students enrolled in Edgenuity already, or is that something that happens once the school year
So
starts?
students have been put in a class titled Edgenuity.
Okay.
What that class is that they're taking is, we are going to kind of determine that on an individual basis.
So what, just out of curiosity, what percentage or what number of students are actually utilizing it?
So from last year, I don't have that
Okay.
percentage. But coming this year, I want students to be able to have an elective experience, and not just an elective, but a core content class experience that we will not be able to offer because we are a small school. So for example, if you wanted to do something, if you want to take advanced concepts in probability and statistics because you want to be a math major in college,
Yeah.
you don't offer that here.
Right,
But we can
right.
give you that class now, so when you walk into that college class, you have that experience. We offer, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 advanced placement courses that we
Right.
don't offer here that we can then offer through.
And so is that, when students come in and they're scheduled for that Edgenuity block,
Yep.
does that count as a teacher's prep? And do they sort
No.
of like oversee?
So
or-
it doesn't count as a teacher's prep. So some teachers that we've prioritized some teachers to actually have this block scheduled into their schedule. So it is not an addition to their 5 classes that
Right,
they
so it's
teach.
one of
It
their
is
classes.
one of their classes.
Okay.
And so the goal of the Edgenuity kind of instructor, because there might be students doing different things in that class on the computer. Your job is kind of the moderator, the
Mm-hmm.
motivator, the what are your deadlines? And I can see all that on my computer display screen and kind of keep students motivated and wanting to continue and work hard in that class. But you're also the expert because you're an educator. So I might not know physics, but I do know
Right.
how to help you
Right.
find resources
Yeah.
with that. And so that's kind of going to be the role of
Okay,
the
so there are
Edgenuity.
dedicated sections
Yes,
in the day
they are
where kids
dedicated. It
go
is
to
not,
do
you
that.
don't just walk to the library, grab a computer
Right,
and do Edgenuity.
right.
You have this in
So
your
how many
schedule.
kids at the high school are going to be doing that?
So we
roughly?
have, every block of the day has at least one block for Edgenuity. So
Okay.
we have a number of juniors and seniors.
So is it like 5 kids, or is it like a class of 20, or?
It's
So I'd like to get
spread
as
out.
many
Okay.
students involved in advanced placement,
a
dual
good chunk.
enrollment classes as possible. Because we know that that is what makes students really ready when they walk to college. And so
Yeah.
when they sit down next to kids who might have gone to a high school that's a top performing high school, they've had this experience
Yeah.
of now I know what a college level kind of class is like. And so it also supports intervention. So intervention is something that kind of did not exist from what I've heard at the high school, where now, even at the middle school, now we can have a block where that student can get support that they need. If they're struggling in math or ELA, social studies, science, they can get support through the Edgenuity program, but also have some extra time with a teacher during that time. So really, Edgenuity is going to look a little bit different for everybody, but it's really about what the interest is. This is a high interest, high motivation thing. A lot of small schools have used it to kind of increase their elective abilities. And for me, I'd love to see as many students possible in our dual enrollment, just because as a parent, I know I'm going to have to spend money on my son and daughter going to college one day, if that's what they choose. That's what they're going to choose. But they have really different electives here in dual enrollment that would give that experience to everybody.
Thank you.
And it's choice, so the students will have choice unless it's a
Right.
core content requirement that they want to take instead of, algebra 2. If they feel like they're going into business, they want to do accounting, that is an accounting math class that could satisfy a graduation requirement, and again, is more interesting to them and might spark their interest in growing their accounting business if that's what they choose to do.
So this conversation actually brings us back to our June meeting where a representative of the staff came and expressed concerns. And I just wanted to, because it sounds like what you've done with the schedule, sounds like it's addressing the concerns they had, which is, and I'm looking at the minutes to remind myself exactly, which is that teachers are being asked to pick up the extra classes and teaching classes that they may not be certified in. This is also overwhelming to the teachers who not only have to design a course for their own class, but now several others, some of the teachers will be giving 6 classes within a 5-period day. So it sounds like that this schedule has adjusted.
Yep, absolutely.
And also one of the other concerns was that, expressed was that the classes would be very large, like 30 kids in a class.
So we don't have any classes that are scheduled in terms of core content. Some electives might have 30, 35 students in them, but once again, we are going to make sure that that teacher has support, whether it's support from an instructional assistant, support from a teacher who might have an extra period that they want to be in there to support. I think it's really a team approach as to what's going to work best for our staff, because if it doesn't work for our staff, it's not going to work intrinsically for our students.
Right.
And we want to make sure that the students have the best possible experience. In order for that to happen, the staff have to have the absolute best possible time and dedication to their schedule, to what they're teaching, and have the support from us sitting at this table to make sure that they can incorporate all of those things. And so that's kind of the best part about the schedule, is staff now can focus really, really well on a couple of things instead of focus on a lot of things. And I know there's been a lot of things that have been talked about being added to teachers' plates, that we're kind of going to take a look and say, like, we like student-led conferences. We like the concept of studios, but it's not all across the board working for everybody. So how can we roll that out in a manner of it's not something that's an additional thing for staff to have to take on and plan, and that they feel comfortable that this is something that I'm really invested in and value. Because I've heard mixed things on both sides about those experiences, advisory, student-led conferences, studios, and so for me, it's about, let's not throw them out. Let's figure out the best way to incorporate them into what we do, because people have worked hard on that.
Okay, so so it sounds like the question I asked you've answered, and then some other things have come up where people seem to think that the studios and advisories may be gone, but it sounds like they're still going to be there. You're just looking at them and making them work better for the staff.
Yeah, and I think that was one of the things I heard
And
from a lot of the
students.
staff, was, I've got 5 different classes I'm preparing for, and now I also have to prepare students for student-led conferences, and then I have to run a studio, and then I have to run an advisory. And I think for a staff, how thin can you spread yourself? And so we want our students to go to college or to join the military or get a career and be absolutely competitive in that field right when they leave this high school. And when I say competitive, I mean that they feel confident in their ability to step out of their comfort zone and try something new when they get into that position with their life. And so I want to grow that, and I want to grow that ability in them, and I want to grow that not just through having really strong teachers, but through having a really strong school culture that kind of helps with social emotional learning and lets students express themselves and feel that the students have a voice. And so that's kind of how we can address all of these things by kind of taking it slow and putting it in place when everybody kind of understands what it's going to look like, how it's going to look, and they feel more vested in it instead of it being given as something that an extra thing we have to do.
Okay, thanks. Any other questions for Mr. Heineck? Mrs. Priestley?
Thank you, guys. And obviously, if any other questions come up, if anybody out there in the world has any
Yep.
questions, please reach out to me. I mean, I am here because I care tremendously about every student, and I chose to be here, and I want to make this school the absolute best school of choice in this area. I would love to see, you know, us increase our enrollment because we have the best programs that we can offer, and students in this surrounding community know that. And the only way they're going to know that is if our teachers do a really good job at what they're hired to do, and they need to be supported with that, and they can't be spread thin. And our students need to know that no matter what, I'm here to support them to make, like, everything that Cam said. Is this going to be his best senior year ever? He hopes so. I know it's going to be because I carry that passion in me for every single student to be their best all the time. And I will run through a wall if I need to make that happen. So.
Just out of curiosity, has any of the local newspapers contacted you?
Yep, I'm meeting with Kevin tomorrow at 2 o'clock.
Awesome.
Right after my interview.
All right.
Finalist interview for music.
Mrs. Priestley?
Hello. I'm so excited for the school year to start. I cannot even tell you. It has been very lonely in the building all summer. We've had some families come and visit with their children and filling out enrollment packets, and I've been giving them tours of the building. Most recently, we've had staff coming back to set up their classrooms, and so there's just a lot of traffic in the building, and I'm getting really excited about that. So that's kind of where I am today. Last week, I referenced some of the events, some of the updates on the sheet in front of you, and then I have some new things to share with you. So last week, Mr. O'Neill led a 3-day Eureka professional development that he planned with Ms. Powers for their work on the Eureka curriculum and continuing to improve that program in our classrooms. And that's something that the school has been doing for some time now, I don't know, 4 or 5 years now that they've had the modules, and just continuing to improve them, to understand the progression of the math from K to 5, and then we have our 6 to 8 modules that Mr. O'Neill works with Ms. Petty on aligning there. So it's just really exciting to see all of that coming together, and he did a great job running that PD last week. So thank you, Mr. O'Neill and Ms. Powers, for that. The hiring update, so Jason mentioned that we have hired an art teacher. I also wanted to let you know that we have another Connect One teacher, which I'm sure Mark will talk about. Miss Mariah Davis, she's going to join Gabby Rogers in her classroom. We have a new STEM teacher, Stephanie Martin, who will be teaching all of the STEM courses at the elementary school, and I believe she's teaching a couple at the junior, senior high school. The building looks amazing. You've all seen the hallway. The teachers are hard at work organizing their classrooms, and they look amazing. A couple PTO updates, just on behalf of the PTO. We have the most adorable t-shirts coming.
And they were designed by a 7th grader, right? Or he's incoming 7th grader?
Yeah, I forget the name though.
Blake
Do you know?
Morse. Yeah.
Blake Morse.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
that's right.
Yep.
He's a 7th grader, Mr. Heineck.
Okay.
So they're so cute, and all of our preschoolers and I believe kindergartners will be receiving a t-shirt as well as our staff, and we'll be wearing those on the first day.
Will be made in-house.
They're being made in-house with our screen
They are
printing
made?
machine.
Oh, awesome. Are they gray with white, or are they gray with purple, or purple with...
I think they're going to be purple with the white. I think they're going to look
Okay.
just like the picture that I shared.
That's...
You
the
can
synergy there, man. I can't handle it.
visit their PTO Facebook page to see what they look like. They're awesome. Also, the PTO is hosting a pre-K K meet and greet on Sunday, August 25th at 2 p.m. I'll be there to meet all the preschoolers and kindergartners. In addition to my own event, Popsicles with the Principal, on Thursday, this Thursday, the 22nd, from 4 to 6 p.m. So I hope to see everyone there. It's for all of our elementary students and families. Another PTO update is they have a meeting on September 11th at 6:30, so hope to see everyone there. And they're also holding their cakewalk and ice cream social the same night as our back to school event. So we're really excited to be partnering with them. We'll have all of our community partners, the bank, Girl Scouts, Rainbow Girls,
Lots of cakes.
lots of cake, raffles, ice cream, all of our teachers, meet the teachers, see
That
the
should be great.
classrooms. It's going to be a fun night. So that is Wednesday, September 18th from 6 to 8. Make sure I covered all of my PTO updates. Also, a really cool event that we just learned about is that Hair Mechanics, a local salon in town, is offering free back-to-school haircuts for our students on Friday, this Friday, from 9 to 4. And any donations that they receive will be given to the elementary school. So thank you so much to Hair Mechanics for that. Yes, that is really cool.
And they're located on Summer Street, if you don't know where they are.
Yes.
First come, first serve.
It's gonna be busy.
Lots of people gonna be there.
Yes,
First
it'll
come,
be a
first
fun
served, yeah,
time.
we get there before nine.
Yeah, I'm gonna be out of
I'm gonna
town.
sell my spot.
Donation
the
only.
money.
Donation.
Well, we get
That's
the
right.
money.
That's right. Very cool.
So I just a couple more things before I turn it over to my other partners here. Just scheduling update. So our teachers are working on adding collaboration time into their schedule. So there's some common planning time, which they'll be able to rotate and meet with each other, our grade level teams, and also some of our vertical teams for content areas. We've worked really hard over the last few years on our math, as I mentioned, the Eureka curriculum, writers workshop, which we had our grant with Teachers for Teachers, of working with them on bringing the writing units to life. And now we have a large number of teachers who are exploring the units of study for reading as well. With those three main components rolling, another focus that we really want to see is that we build our science and social studies curriculum. So we're working hard to do that. Jean will probably talk about our WPI opportunity. So we have some PD to build some science lessons through WPI, and then just kind of working on honing our social studies curriculum as well. So that's in the works. I'm going to let Jean talk about Wellness Way because that is her thing that she designed, and the math hallway. I think that's about it. I think that's all I have for you folks. Any questions?
Nope. Looks exciting. And I noted that the picture, the Life Touch, they take the school pictures, they're going to be giving calendar magnets. That's
Oh
very
yes,
exciting.
I missed that. Just to say that out loud, yes, they are giving us the calendar, school calendar
Yeah.
magnets for all 3 years that we have our contract with them. So
That's
that was really
awesome.
all the students and the staff get one. So those will be
Cool.
coming home in the first aid packets.
All right.
Yeah, thank you, Life Touch.
Mr. Minucci.
I'm up next. Well, like Jason, I want to first of all thank you. I really feel welcome, and not only from you all, but the administration staff has been just really welcoming. This
We're a
summer-
darn nice place here in North.
It's very, very kind
Sure.
place. This summer, we did a lot of planning and hiring, and we've gone over a lot of the new hires. So in Connections 2 and 3, we hired 2 new teachers, Mariah Davis for Connections 2, and Christine Scott for Connections 3. But more importantly, though, I want to highlight that this realignment that Jason talked about, and also Sarah to some degree, it's really given us an opportunity to put the structures and in things in place so that students are not only getting their social emotional needs met in these programs, but they come to school to learn and get academics. So I want to thank my partners and Jean and Cindy as well for really working with Student Services to put together programming that it remains to be seen. We're starting a new year in a week, but I feel real confident that we're off to an excellent start and that we have those structures in place to give students that social emotional support, but also that academic piece that's important. And Jason also outlined a couple of the programs that we're gonna be utilizing as well in student services. My Path is part of Edgenuity and offers us some real good opportunities to offer remediation and other services in a program that we already have up and running here at North Brookfield Public Schools. So real busy summer doing that, but there's still a lot of work to be done. We're looking to really revitalize that sped pack, and a lot of work remains there, but I mentioned, through the interview process that a real big goal was that communication and transparency piece, and the sped pack will be an important component of that. So we're going to revitalize the sped pack. We're actively going to recruit and try to get as many members as possible to join and be active participants. So that's definitely in the plans over the next year.
You say the meetings will be the third, what you're trying to,
Yeah, third Wednesday of each month.
Okay.
I mean, the only caveat I put there is that I do need to get a new sped pack liaison president.
Okay.
So it will be, I don't want to dictate that if
Sure.
that date doesn't work
Right,
for
right.
them. But
Yep.
but I want to have that structure
Yep.
because I think one of the things that we have to have is that consistency so that folks know, all right, this is
Yes.
the date that we're doing it.
Mhm. Yep.
And I don't think we can punt if it's pretty thinly attended at first.
Nope.
So anyways, that's in the process. I've been in contact with a lot of the schools in the area, in particular David Prouty, Quabog Regional, and Quabbin Regional, to look to expand our opportunities for after-school programs for students who have disabilities. So so far, when the rubber hits the road, and by next meeting, I hope to have a little more of the particulars ironed out. But they're all very receptive to doing things like having unified sports. Now, we've had unified sports here at North Brookfield Public Schools, but not to the extent that I'm talking about. These are actual teams that go and play other schools
Right.
in the area. So that's one thing we're looking at. We're also looking at having some type of best buddies or best buddies type of organization here at North Brookfield Public Schools as well. So those are two things that we kind of have on the horizon that we're looking to do. So really, there's a lot of really good things going on, but we know that we have some improvements to do, and we're also putting some structures into place so that we can report to you as school committee with transparency and very easily on where we're at and the progress that we're making. The only other things I have is to kind of give you some of the events that are coming up. I don't have that many, and Sarah actually already gave you one of mine. But Donuts with the Director we'll be having tomorrow at 10 o'clock. And then Sarah mentioned the pre-K night, but we also have an open house on the 28th from 9 to 11, so parents can come in and see the program as it's working. And that's
So, going back to our June meeting again, another issue that was brought up by the staff representative was concerned by some of the special education staff of injuries or fear of injuries, so.
So it's some of the procedures and protocols that we're putting into place. First of all, professional development opportunities. So all the staff that has any opportunity to have to come into that type of situation will be safety care trained. So that's first and foremost.
Okay.
The second piece is that I as an administrator have already told the new staff, so we primarily in those areas that they're talking about have new staff, but we've had communication and been upfront with them that I'll be a hands-on administrator. So I'm looking to be in those classrooms quite a bit, seeing what's going on, and more importantly, I think we really have to work on what do you do in the situation. When a situation happens, are we following proper debriefing procedures so that we're making it so that in the future we don't have as many incidences. are people doing things properly? Are they intervening and acting properly? Are they using the right de-escalation techniques and processes? So all of those things are ready to go. We have a new staff, and we do need to do some training, but one of the things we did in the hiring process, though, we hired 2 teachers that have been in schools where they're doing all types of things that hopefully we'll never have to do. But they're aware of those escalating, students escalating and getting to a certain point. And so, I mean, one of them worked at Devereux School for quite some time. The other one worked out in Western Mass and also in Ohio in a private day school. So we feel we've hired the experience that can work with us on
Okay.
remedying those concerns that were, I was at that meeting and I heard those
Right.
concerns. So we are putting structures in place to remedy those.
All right, great. Thank you. Just want to make sure that we heard back about those concerns. And I know you'll all keep us informed.
Thank you.
Ms. Powers.
Thank you. So the first, Mr. Lynn had mentioned already that this week on Wednesday and Thursday, we have our new teacher orientation. So it's for any new teacher hired, regardless of their experience. But we do, like Mr. Lynn also mentioned, have a differentiated mentoring program. So we have our mentors lined up to come in on Thursday morning. They'll do a 1-hour training with Ms. Dubuque, the mentor coordinator, and then they will meet, they'll have lunch with the new teachers and give them a tour of the district. And then those mentors who have what we're calling Group A mentees, so those that are kind of not returning, they're not in their second year, they're either coming in with experience or they have little experience, will get some one-on-one mentoring time with their mentor to start, to give them some time to kind of download everything they've heard from me and Monique and prep themselves for everybody coming back on Monday on the 26th. So I'm really excited. Last year was the first year we kind of developed a 2-day really inclusive program where they will see Ms. O'Hara for technology, Mr. Shaw for facilities. They'll meet with their building principals. Mr. Minucci will have time with them to talk about some of the special ed and student services needs. So they're going to get a gamut of everything. So hopefully have them ready to step in the door on Monday with everybody else who's walking in. So very excited about that. Mrs. Priestley mentioned the math PD that we had last week with Mr. O'Neill. He did an amazing job. I knew he would when we were planning, but just to see him in action and the way the teachers really looked to him for guidance and feedback on their work was really powerful. We did a couple of big picture alignments of curriculum looking from K to grade 6, and we had all of our math teachers but 2 because they were away attend, so we had 12 educators and then Mr. O'Neill. So it was really a great experience, and we, again, were able to have that and have the funds to pay stipends for teachers to come through a grant from DESE from the spring.
Oh, great.
So it was a grant that I had applied for, basically for any towns that don't take their title money, which is money for certain things like low income, or they don't spend it all. Instead of sending it back to the federal government, the state gets a chance to put it back into the hands of teachers one more
Great.
time. So we were lucky enough to get that grant.
Thank you for applying for that. That's
Yeah,
great.
of course. We are ready for the most part for next week, Monday and Tuesday. We have our schedule planned for everyone rejoining us, for our returning staff and our new staff, for our staff work days, a number of different things going on during that day, and we're giving a lot of time to the principals so that they can be working with their staff, especially with them being new, so giving them a little bit more time to focus in together. Mrs. Priestley mentioned a connection with WPI. So last summer, Mr. O'Neill and Mr. Shelburne attended a STEM training through WPI, and that WPI had a grant for that time. And again, a couple of schools that they had worked with didn't use all their funds, so they reached back out to us to see if we wanted to do some partnerships. So we are going to have 4 professional development days throughout the year where the elementary school staff will get some specific STEM training on writing STEM units or curriculum or performance assessments. So it's a really awesome opportunity. The WPI instructors from their STEM Education Center are going to come and do the work with our teachers here. So I'm super excited about that opportunity. People leave money on the table, I'm willing to pick it up. And then the last thing, again, as we took a tour of the buildings, we put together a wellness way, so a movement area in the hallway for students and staff. We know that Mrs. Priestley tried it out, to kind of take some of those breaks, to be able to get some of that energy out. There's a number of different activities there. Check it out if you're in the building. And it's really a way to, again, address the social emotional needs of our students. And we are in the process of developing a math hallway, which will engage students in their classes to be up on their feet and engaged in math. But that design is down the road a little bit.
Cool.
Thank you.
That's good
Thank
stuff.
you.
Thanks, Jean. And thank you, Mrs. O'Hara, for your patience. Go ahead.
Well, over the summer, I continue to work on the DESI reports, the SIMS, the EPIMS, and the SCS reports. It's an ongoing effort. This year has taken a lot longer for us than normal, but I'm still plugging away at those. The phone system in the elementary school is up and running. We now have a telephone in every classroom and office in the district. And also, the two buildings can now connect directly with each other using a 4-digit code instead of calling out back over to the elementary school or to the high school.
That's great.
Everybody has an extension, and they can just call directly. We were able to get a network assessment done at the end of the school year last year that we had talked about earlier, to assess the needs and the strengths and weaknesses of our infrastructure. I'm still waiting on that report. I called the other day. Of course, I was told the gentleman who did the assessment no longer works here. So, but they promised me that he said he would finish the assessment, so I should have it next week. So I'm hoping that's the case. Luckily, we haven't paid the money for the assessment, so.
Oh, well, that's good. That's good.
So we haven't lost anything yet. And once we get this, then we can move forward to determine what we need where in the district as far as access points, where we can put devices, where we can't put devices, and stuff like that. School opening, luckily with the help of Cameron LeBlanc. He came in the beginning of last week, and connected the majority of the computers in the district, because when they do the cleaning, they take everything out and then they put it back in. So he came in and connected them all. And we also got a newer version of the Enforce 911 for our emergency response system. Unfortunately, with the system, you have to go to every computer, uninstall the previous version and reinstall the new version for every computer in the district. It's not this one big thing you can throw out. So luckily, Cam has been helping me with that. We're probably 90% done with that process. Some of the computers won't hook up, so he's kept a list of what won't connect, and I'll trudge my way through those in the next week or so. We also have a new app for this Enforce 911 that we are going to test as an admin team in one of our next admin meetings, that we can have on our cell phones, and teachers can also have it if they choose to. So for the teachers that have their cell phones, they're not at their desk and something happens, they'll see the messages for that right on their cell phone. If they're out of the building or in the back, they'll see the messages right on their cell phone. So that's a new addition just this past few months from Enforce. And finally, we were able to purchase 75 new Chromebooks and 3 new carts over the summer. And with the help of Cam LeBlanc, they're in the carts and numbered. Cam's been working a lot this summer. This allows us to have 2 of the carts are going to be at the elementary school, 1's going to be at the high school, so that we'll be able to have 1 cart per grade, shared per grade from 3 to 6, grade 3 to 6. So each grade level from 3 to 6 will be able to share a cart of 25 Chromebooks, which is a big it's a big plus for us. And that'll also give the K through 2 the opportunity to use the iPads that we have, and we can house the iPads down in the lower level where they can have access to those, and the upper level with the keyboarding, because as soon as you get to grade 4, you have to start with the keyboarding for MCAS. So if we start at grade 3, then they'll be able to have a lot more experience navigating the system. So it's a great opportunity for resources, for a classroom, and there's so many different add-ons that you can do with the with Chromebooks now that it's going to be really exciting to watch that. It also gives another, so there'll be 4 Chromebook carts in the high school. So with the Edgenuity coming about, we'll have more opportunity to have a rotating carts for those classrooms that are set for Edgenuity. Those classrooms will be guaranteed a cart for that block of time. So that's about it.
Thanks a lot for all your work.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to Campbell Bank as well. Mr. Shaw, before you start, thanks for all the hard work you guys have been doing. The schools both look really, really beautiful. And I know you welcome the students back, but I just want to say I know, I'm sorry.
We're ready for them. You know, it does get kind of lonely around here. You know, just
Just
yeah,
you and me, Marty, in this
just-
building.
That's right, you and me and a paintbrush and a paint roller. So, but thank you, and thanks to my staff for doing the tremendous job they did, taking everything out of the classrooms, washing walls, deep cleaning the floor, the wax this summer. It just happened to dry right. It's some of the best wax that I've seen in all the years that I've been doing this job, and so kudos to my staff for all their hard work, and the administrative staff telling us when they're going to be gone so that we can sneak into their office and get that done, and back and forth, and people not walking on our wax when it's wet. The wax is dry, so we're ready for school, which is great. The thanks to as you've seen the new entryway here painted up that the sheriff's department had come for their community service program. They came for 5 days. They did a great job getting us started, and then with some help from Mr. Lind, we were able to finish that off to get it to the point where it's a nice, bright, open entryway now
looks awesome.
to the school, and we look forward to being able to keep doing that. The sheriff's department did say, you know, they had quite a lot of inquiries this year for help, you know, for community service in other schools and districts and so forth in towns, and they said will keep us on the list. So as long as I keep painting inventory when they can during school vacations, they said they'd come back. So
Ooh,
I'm.
sign them up.
That's right. Line
February
them up.
vacation.
I'll get them signed up. The usual summertime things: elevator, state inspections, all our fire alarm testings. Actually, the high school's going to be done next Monday for at least the half, as we do half over at the high school at a time. Heating boilers, yeah, the mundane stuff that I like to do. You know, you guys at least know we're doing some things. But the biggest thing is looking at the high school roof. And Mr. Lynn and I have been talking, and he and I both agree that we like to do things once and do them right. I thought I had a lot of the patches taken care of last summer. It didn't work. So it is time to consult with an expert. And Tom Ewing, if you talk around to the different people, he's the guy. When architects look for someone, they call Tom. And he's right on it. I called him one day, and well, I can fit you in at 10 o'clock the next morning, and boom, he was here. So he's already, he's given us his proposal. He has some ideas that, to me, looking at it, are, he knows what he's talking about, and I think it's probably not going to be the cheapest fix, but it's a fix that, I'm done banging my head against the wall. So
it's $6,300 to have him do an evaluation of the roof, what's wrong with it, and then what's the solution. He's not fixing the roof, he's giving us the information.
Right.
And then we can decide whether we want to fix it. That's about $11,000, or 10,500 square foot roof that we're talking about. And it's where the metal comes into the,
Comes into the EDPM, but it's also, he's gonna look at the whole high school wing. Because there are the skylights up there,
Yeah.
there's potential
but
safety
the-
hazards.
but the big one is where the metal roof comes
Right.
into the sort of rubber
Flat.
roof.
Yeah, from metal to flat, and it just,
Yeah.
no matter how much goo we put up there, it works for a while and then
Eventually it breaks down.
it breaks down. So we're at that point where, like Rich and I both said, you know, I'm done chasing my tail. It's time to find out the right way, different penetrations now that they have that they didn't have when that roof got installed for, say, like your air conditioning pipes and so forth. Instead of putting them flat on the roof, now they actually go in through the side. So, you know, there again, there's less potential for.
So essentially, we'll
leaking.
know how to fix it.
Right.
And then we'll look at the cost and say, how do we proceed?
Right.
And we'll bring that back to you, make a decision on that. And certainly Marty and I will have a recommendation, but, you know, ultimately, I can't imagine that it's gonna be a small amount of money. We're paying $6,300 to find out. If it was a $100 fix, he probably would've just told us.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm sure it's not, but, you know, in the couple of years I've been here, I think Sheila gave me a rough estimate of like $11,000 on roof repairs at the high school. And we haven't really repaired it, we're patching it, and the patches ultimately fail because of the design.
So it's the patches that are failing, not that new spots are getting weaker?
Say that again, Elizabeth.
I'm just clarifying, is it the patches that are failing, or are there new
It's mostly-
areas that are
it's-
weak
it's-
and letting
It's
in?
mostly the patches, because of the way
Yeah.
it's designed, it's just leaking.
Right. And then, and the seams are now over 15 years old. So seams on an EDPM roof, 15 years if you're lucky. And it's time to really look at it.
It's more where the two roofs come and meet. That's
Yeah.
the big problem area.
That's the
One's a
the
metal
biggest.
roof and one is a rubber roof, and that's the problem. I mean, the seams, we understand, because there's a lifespan to that. But, I mean, Sarah, you've been in the high school for 10 years, it's leaked for that time. I mean,
Ever since I've worked there.
it's leaked since day
Day
one.
one.
So, it needs to be fixed.
So-
Wait since you went, but they didn't fix it.
So
then.
we'll look forward to hearing what the architect has to say.
Yep.
Thank you.
So, but anyway, welcome to our new
Thank you.
administrative team. It's been a great summer getting to know you guys and finding out how everything works and ticks here in North Brookfield. But look forward to many more. So,
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you. So old business, we have to look at our policy subcommittee and negotiations subcommittee, and do elections for those.
So we need two members for each, Maria and Kristen with the policy subcommittee, and Maria and Elizabeth with the negotiations subcommittee. This year, we do have the ESP contract, the educational support personnel. Obviously, we finished the custodians and the teachers this year, so there's only one big contract to settle, and then the policy, I'm hoping we move quickly on. So I need two members for each one. Going once, going twice.
So why don't we start, I think we gotta do nominations.
Yep.
Let's do the subcommittee if someone has nominations. Kristen and I are willing to do it, so.
So then we nominate
for
you?
policy,
You
yeah.
are willing to keep doing it? I nominate Maria Tucker.
And
Can I just.
can I not, she can nominate
She
us
can do
both.
both.
Yeah. And,
Kristen.
need a second?
I second.
All in favor? And for negotiations subcommittee, again, Elizabeth and I are willing to do it again.
I nominate Elizabeth Milad and Maria Tucker for the negotiation committee.
I second.
All in favor? All right.
All right,
Moving on.
got it.
Done.
So we talked about policy
Yeah.
already, and new business.
So new business, so over the course of the summer, we had a large district improvement team get together and talk about and look at developing and putting forward a new district improvement plan. In your packet is the one pager that covers our mission statement, our vision statement, our core values, and our 4 goals. Essentially, this was a reverse engineered plan. What we did is we have representatives from the major groups and committees and teams in our district came together, represented the plans that those groups have developed, and pulled together a larger district improvement plan using the information from those plans. Groups like the Wellness Committee, the School Change Team, the School Councils, the Instructional Leadership Team, the Language Literacy Committee from the elementary school. So a number of these groups are either school-based or district-based. They all have plans. They all have goals that they're trying to accomplish. And what we did as a group, and then each of those teams or committees elected representatives to come together to be part of the district improvement team. And what we did was we first worked on kind of those larger statements, mission statement and a vision statement and our core values. And then we looked at all the plans and said, well, what are the threads that run through all those plans? And those really became our goals. Our goals are continue to create a rigorous, relevant, engaging curriculum and provide students with appropriate instruction, supports, interventions, and extensions. Second, staff having access to personal, ongoing, and collaborative professional learning that focuses on individual, school, and district goals. Third is supporting student and staff wellness through programs, activities, and initiatives that are based on the needs of students and families and staff. And finally, improving a strong sense of community through communication, collaboration, shared leadership, and shared decision-making. So this really is our roadmap. And kind of from a personal perspective, I've facilitated a number of strategic or district improvement planning processes in other school districts. And this is the first time I've reverse engineered. It's always been sort of a start from scratch, and then all the other district plans are built off of that larger plan. The larger plan was built off the smaller plans in this case, and it was really a neat process for me to see. So to me, this is a collaborative effort to really define where we're going. All future plans will be based on the mission, the vision, the core values, and those 4 goals. Our budgeting will be based on this. Our professional development and programming will be based on these 4 goals. So it really will ultimately be the roadmap for how do you get there from here. And we know what there is. I can't tell you specifically, but I'll know when we are there. It's getting kids ready for whatever's next in life. I want kindergartners to be ready for 1st grade. I want 6th graders to be ready for 7th. And I want our seniors being ready for whatever is next for them. So, school committee was involved in this process, so this is not new to you. My plan from here, if you approve it, is to get out, to market this plan, get it out not just to our parents and students and staff, but get it out to the community at large. So,
Does anyone have any questions or thoughts or comments on the district improvement plan?
I thought it was a good process that we had, and there was quite a few people that actually came to the meetings and, actually worked together and,
yeah, we had 3
came up
meetings
with
over the
everything.
summer, and
Yeah.
not everybody could come to every meeting. We
Sorry.
understand that. 'Cause, well, some of us went on vacation, and some of us just had babies. I mean, congratulations, by the way,
Thank you.
publicly. And so I understood going in. The summer is tough, but all year is tough. And so the summer gave us an opportunity. Of the 24 people, I think every meeting we had, a great majority of people there. And again, I thought it was a really good process. And people who couldn't get there often checked in on, through email or whatever. People did their homework. There was homework as part of this, so it wasn't just the 3 meetings in June, July, and August. There was work in between that folks did. So pretty significant amount of time invested. overall.
Anything else? And I believe
want
we
to
have
approve
to, we do have to vote to approve it.
Yep.
Um, So we need a motion to approve it.
Sure, motion to approve the district improvement plan for the 2019 through 2024 school years.
Second.
All in favor?
So, thank you very much.
Okay. So I'm not trying to rush this or anything.
Yep.
But,
It's getting late.
yep. So,
All right, so I have some staffing requests. There are actually 3 of them. 2 are listed, 1 came up that I'll describe in a moment. First, behavior intervention specialist. So earlier you asked Mr. Minucci about some of the concerns that were expressed last June about safety. We're looking to develop a position titled a behavior intervention specialist. I attached a job description to in your packet. But essentially, we're looking for someone to work under our BCBA to work and support staff and students who might struggle with that social, emotional, behavioral challenges. Someone that, another set of eyes, ears, and hands with expertise to really be able to support staff in helping kids make good choices and navigate difficult times. We think it's a really important position. Essentially, we have for funding, we're looking at a $30,000 to $35,000 a year job. It's a little beyond an instructional assistant or an ABA, but not quite what a BCBA gets paid, kind of a halfway point. We have 1 instructional assistant position that we'd like not to fill and fill it with this person, who would be more of a resource person than a specific program staff. So that gets us about halfway there. Our BCBA went from 5 days a week to 4 days a week, her choice. So there was some savings there, about $12,000. And then Mr. Minucci completes the 240 grant, that's the special ed grant. In our budget, we budgeted for what we got last year, which was about $142,000. Well, our allocation is $150,000. So it's sort of $8,000 that's unexpected. So those 3 funding sources get us to about $36,000. So it's all budgeted money. It's not, we're trying to find dollars or scratch it from other places. And we think this position would be invaluable towards supporting students, supporting staff, and part of that is the safety question that came up before. But more importantly to me is the proactive nature of intervening and understanding precipitating events so that the actual dangerous behaviors or unsafe behaviors can be cut off at the pass, so to speak. So we're not necessarily trying to deal with those situations that are unsafe. It's actually trying to be proactive. However, we want someone who is skilled when things do become unsafe too, because they do. They do happen. So we're asking you for that. The second staffing request is, if you remember last year, we talked about, I met with each of you to talk about some of the budgeting and some of the changes, the staffing changes. Part of it was to make the librarian full-time, if you recall. That's about a $12,000 difference. So to go from point A to 1.0. So so that's the second staffing request, to change the librarian from a 0.8 to a 1.0. And then the last one came up today, actually. We have a student that tuitions in from Quabbin. So a Quabbin student, they're not school choice, they actually tuition in, they pay us about $40,000 a year to send the student here. Student has a 1-to-1 in his IEP, and in most cases, that's a separate charge on top of the tuition. So to hire the 1-to-1, we have to create the position, and you have to create the position. So we're asking you to create a 1-to-1 position to be funded through billing of Quabbin. So those are the 3 staffing requests.
Does anyone have any questions or anything? So we need a motion to approve these 3 staffing requests.
I make a motion to approve increasing the librarian from point A to 1, to adding a behavioral intervention specialist, and to hiring a one-on-one for the student from Quabbin.
I second.
All in favor? Okay. So the next is the
Can you,
eighth
yep.
8th grade field trip, which, by the way, Ruth here is the one that instigated that. I'll point that out yet again.
She didn't instigate, because that has a negative
Oh, I'm sorry.
connotation.
All right. She instigated it.
She led the
All right, she
the
led the
idea.
charge. She led the charge. They should go
Led the
to.
charge. So, yeah, this is typical for our policy, for your policy on out-of-state and overnight field trips. The trip leaves April 17th, returns April 20th.
Which is that? Is that spring break or is it the week
No,
before?
it's Friday to
It's-
Monday.
Oh,
yeah.
right. Okay.
So, we've had these overnight trips or out-of-state trips before. This is a new one for us, and I am excited about it. In the packet is all the itinerary stuff you can check out, if you
Yeah.
haven't yet.
So, personally, I think it's awesome opportunity for the kids, and I know that it's going through a business that does these trips with lots of local schools, and we need a motion to approve it. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And I believe there's 2 fundraisers, right? Just real quickly, dates here. There's one's at
It's actually 3 on
right?
308,
Twen-
I think, on Wednesday.
There's 308 this Wednesday, there's a car wash Saturday,
Saturday.
and then there's
At
the
How-
dough
How
raiser
Lumber.
at Uno's in
In
September.
September.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 308 on Wednesday. You gotta have
that's
you gotta have the paper receipt, or can you do it on your phone?
No, I don't know, do they have to print that?
Right,
I think
usually
they
they
can
take
do it
the
on
Just
their
wing
phone.
it and make a stink, hold it
And
up.
They can do it on
is it
their
takeout too?
Yeah,
Takeout?
I have a kid going, I'm not in charge of fundraising. I don't know, I will look, I'll try to
Yep.
peek while you
And
talk.
car wash. Everyone needs their car wash. How Lumber,
Yep.
and which is down on Route 9. And in September there's another restaurant one, Pizzeria Una.
Uno's, yep.
All right. Send those
So
kids
get
to
out there,
Washington.
spend money, and help fund the kids going to DC.
All right.
All
And then
right.
we have handbook approvals, which, I looked at those. I just had one comment actually that I noticed, was that on the elementary one, you mentioned, while we make every effort to retrieve lost or stolen property, the school is not responsible for a lost or stolen cell phone. You do not have that in the high school one that I noticed. Is that something you might want to consider adding?
Definitely. I think there might have been a spot there about personal property in the high school one.
Okay.
It might
and,
not be under
you
cell
know,
phone.
it-
All right.
It might not be
In
under
the cell
cell,
phone.
yeah, but it's definitely underneath the one that states valuables in school. I think that's the section in high school, if I remember
Okay, so
correctly.
it's something similar to that is in there. Okay.
Yep.
And just, this is a minor thing, which I don't even know if it matters, but there's a, where is it? Missing a 2, T-O. It's in the first paragraph about,
The school day.
right, yeah, it's just in
There's a
there.
2 somewhere.
Yeah.
T-O.
They are,
Which one?
so
School
the
day, so
first,
it's
it's
gotta be mine.
the high school one,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's just.
Oh, of course. She says.
Of course. Sarah, did you say of course?
No.
No.
Oh, it's, all senior high students are to enter, through the main entrance.
Okay. We'll look
Just
at
to
it.
give you an update, we created a template so that the handbooks are essentially the same except for the content under the school. So Sarah and Jason worked on the content based on what was there last year. They updated all the other stuff. But the district-wide policies and the format of it is identical now, which is really kind of, it was a big project and kind of exciting to get to a point where we're a little more in line with each other, the 2 schools, and we'll continue to work on that over the next couple of years.
Any other comments or questions? So this makes it easier for you guys to update it presumably in the future, having a template. Okay.
The other handbook is the staff handbook. And again, that just has a bunch of policies and procedures in it that from a staff sense, district-wide. The principals will have their own sections to that, and those are more procedural. The district section is more policy-based. Those are all in the Google Drive folder. You can look at them, and I didn't want to print out
Are there any,
hundreds of pages for
I
you.
assume there's no updates then to the staff one?
The staff one is identical.
Right.
The only thing is we updated names and dates and all
Okay.
that stuff.
Okay,
So those all need to be approved.
so we need a motion.
Yep.
Motion to approve the North Brookfield Junior Senior High School Parent-Student Handbook, the North Brookfield Elementary School Parent-Student Handbook, and the North Brookfield Public School Staff Handbook.
A second?
All in favor? Okay. And so,
Okay. Obsolete equipment, so our basement is overflowing here at
So,
this school. So,
290 student desks?
yeah, we want to declare 270 surplus.
Okay.
And there'll be other things to declare surplus. In fact, Mr. Kiley mentioned, because we have a bunch of equipment, he said you should sell it and take the money.
Okay, Sure.
Highway Department has done that before, because, so Mr. Shaw, when we sort of get through the opening and has more than a second to breathe, we'll figure out what's down there, and there are sites that municipals can post on, and some are bidding sites, like yard sale sites. And we really want to empty that place out, get rid of anything that needs to be thrown out, sell anything that can be sold, donate anything that is still valuable but we can't sell. We
So-
need the space.
so right now, though, our
270 desks.
so we are voting on whether or not we can do 270 surplus, declare 270 student desk surplus.
Yeah, we
And
just didn't have a chance to do the rest of the list.
Sure, so going on, we'll have other things.
Yep.
We will declare. Does anyone have any questions or anything? Need a motion?
I do. So do I.
270.
Yeah.
Okay. Second? Yep. All in favor? Okay. Next one is they have to raise the price of the adult lunch from $3.50 to $3.75. Mrs. Ryan has sent an email, and they need to increase that because of the state's requirement.
That's like for teachers and
Yeah.
stuff?
Yeah, so staff who buy lunch here pay $3.50 now. She's proposing $3.75. There's formulas and stuff that she has to complete, and we're low. We're too low.
I guess I always assumed that they just pay the same price as the students.
Nope.
What do the students pay now?
That doesn't count if
$3.
a senior is 18, it's literally just an adult.
As an adult price, yeah.
So wait, a student,
Oh.
a
If
senior?
a student turns 18, do they have to pay the adult price?
No,
No, no,
No.
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 There's
Oh,
a student
staff.
price and an
That's just
adult
like
price.
staff.
The adult price is for
It's
staff.
basically staff and
Yeah.
students.
Yep.
It's not like adult because they're 18. Adult
Yeah, no.
as in staff member price.
Any other questions? Motion?
I motion to approve the increase, the adult lunch price.
A second.
All in favor? Okay.
By law, you need to appoint someone as the Southern Worcester County Education Collaborative Board member. It can be one of you, it could be someone else, it could be me. Often it's the superintendent. It's the
I nominate
superintendent in
Mr.
every-
Richard Lynch.
Didn't even let me get it out of my mouth. I was hoping someone else would take
I
it.
second.
So, yeah, it's just a vote, and then I have to send the results of the vote to the collaborative.
Okay, so we need an official motion then.
I motion to nominate
Mr. Lind,
Mr. Lind as the SWEC board member.
Yep,
A second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
thank you. So Valley View curriculum, so Mr. May is the director, and he comes to meet with me. We don't have to, like, by law, do this, but he actually needs it for his, many of the things he needs to do that the local school district has certified his curriculum in some way. So he meets and he goes over it and sends me the entire curriculum. Again, I didn't print it out for you. I review it with him. I spent a good portion of the morning with him. And he just outlines whether there's been any changes or not. They did add a couple of new courses, including 3D printing and personal finances for some of their students. So essentially, he just needs you to approve his curriculum for Valley View School.
And from an academic standpoint, you don't have any concerns or questions or anything?
I don't. I reviewed it with him. It's very much in line with what we have for curriculum. They don't need to adhere to the math standards like we do, but he does.
Right,
So,
okay.
They haven't changed much.
Any, you get a motion to approve, or does anyone have any questions or anything before we do that?
A motion to approve the Valley View curriculum changes?
A second?
All in favor? We have two donations. Margaret Hanson has donated $625 to the North Brookfield Robotics Program. And Sarah Priestley has donated the $100 Amazon gift card she earned from Rivas Associates and Publications Incorporated.
I won it. It was very
Yeah,
exciting.
I know. I was gonna send you out to buy lottery tickets. Do we need a motion to approve these two donations? You can do both in one motion.
I make a motion to approve the donation from Ms. Hanson for robotics and the $100 gift card that Mrs. Priestley won.
A second.
All in favor? Thank you, Ms. Hanson and Mrs. Priestley.
You're welcome.
And I believe that is it.
it is.
So we need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
A second.
All in favor? All right.
Who seconded?
Kristen, just give it to Kristen.
Van Dyke at the same time.
You guys couldn't second fast enough.
No offense.